Hey everyone, it's Autum from Girls Inc. And today I wanted to share a story with you and talk about being smart. Part of being smart is having a big vocabulary and knowing a lot of different words. But did you know part of being smart is also being able to listen to people? That's because when we listen to others, we learn new words, new ideas, new information, and we can make it a lot easier on ourselves sometimes. Today, we're going to read a book about a man who doesn't listen to his wife. And we'll see how much harder his life is because of it. Pay attention to what happens because he doesn't listen to his wife. And also, pay attention to what happens as he helps others along the way. I hope you enjoy the book.
The Old Man and His Door by Gary Soto. Illustrations by Joe Cepeda. In Mexico, there's a little song that goes like this. La puerta, el puerco, there's no difference to el viejo. That's because, to a viejo, an old man, they sound so much alike, especially if he's not listening carefully. Of course, in Spanish, puerta means door, and puerco means pig. So young or old, if you don't listen carefully, it can get you in trouble. This is the story of an old man in a little village who is good at working in the garden, but terrible at listening to his wife. He could grow the biggest tomatoes and the hottest of hot chiles. His chickens were large and white, and his pigs as plump as water balloons. But whenever his wife called him, he would hurry into his garden and pick up a hoe, pretending to be busy. Later over dinner, he'd say, "Vieja, I didn't hear you." One Saturday, while he was giving their dog Coco a bath on the porch, his wife came out of the house dressed in her best clothes. She was off to her comadre's for a barbecue. "I don't want you to be late, viejo," she warned. "I won't," he promised. "Just let me finish here." But right then, Coco jumped from the tub and ran away, with a mountain of suds on his back. The old man dropped the soap and scrub brush and ran after him. They circled the house 3 times and the avocado tree 9 times, with the chickens and pigs stampeding behind. "I want you to bring el puerco," the wife screamed each time he came around the house. "Did you hear me? El puerco! Don't forget to bring the pig." "Sí, entiendo, I hear you." He panted as he ran, not really listening. Finally, Coco ran into the tomato vines, where the old man caught him and carried him back to the tub. The wife left, dizzy from watching. She closed the gate behind her and set off up the road. The old man started Coco on another bath. When he finished, he scratched his head and said to himself, "Pues, I don't know why my wife wants me to bring a puerta." But he didn't dare argue. He shrugged and unscrewed the front door. Then he heaved it onto his shoulders and headed up the street. After a mile, he stopped to rest, near a small, shabby house. Out front was a little girl taking care of her baby sister, who was crying. "¿Qué pasa?" the old man asked. "What's the matter?" "The baby is bored," the girl answered. "She has nothing to play with except her fingers and the hole in her pocket." "Pobrecita," he said, as he combed her soft hair with his fingers. Suddenly, the old man had an idea. He took the baby into his arms and brought her to the door. He placed the baby on one side and himself on the other. Together they played peekaboo and Tantan Who's There, until the baby gave him a kiss and gurgled happily. The old man continued on his way to the barbecue, whistling and playing Kick the Rock. The road was empty and the blue sky as wide as a hat. Then, as he passed under a tree, the door bumped a beehive hanging from a vine. All around him buzzed a swarm of angry bees. "Ay, ay, ay," he shouted, and ran until his legs grew tired. These bees are too fast. Panting, he lay down with the door on top of him until the bees buzzed past. Then slowly, he opened the peephole and saw only a square patch of sky. "That was close," he said, and rose to his feet. The old man looked at the beehive and imagined the honey inside. No point in wasting it, he thought, so he drained the honey into his hat, balanced it on the door, and continued on his way. Soon, a ragged goose dropped from the sky and landed on the door, now heavier by the weight of a few scruffy feathers. "Por favor, Rest on my door," the old man offered. "Ride as long as you want." The ragged goose honked gratefully. She rode for a mile, and when the old man stopped to rest, the goose flapped her wings and flew away. The old man wiped his brow and looked back at the door. "What's this?" he asked, light in his eyes. He felt the weight of a big egg in his palm. "Ay Dios," he said, beaming. "I'm a lucky man." He started off again with the door on his shoulders, but before long he heard shouts coming from the lake. He shaded his eyes and looked towards the water. "Ayúdame!" a boy screamed. "Help me!" The old man ran down to the lake. He threw the door into the water and paddled out to the drowning boy. He hauled him onto the door, where they both panted with relief. A turtle wiggled from the old man's shirt, and a fish jumped from his pocket. The boy thanked him 1,000 times. "Mil gracias," he said. "Just promise me," the old man said as he steered toward the shore, "you'll listen to your parents and stay dry until you can swim." On land, the old man brushed a wet leaf from the boy's face. Then he lifted a fish from the boy's shirt. "Mira, another one," he said, admiring its gleaming scales. He placed it in his pocket. The old man waved goodbye and balanced the dripping door on his shoulders. Now he hurried back to the road because he knew he was late to the barbecue. His wife would be angry. But he stopped after only a few minutes when he saw a young man trying to load furniture into a wagon. "Here, let's use this," the old man said, patting the door. He propped it against the wagon so they could use it as a ramp. Then they loaded chairs and tables and a large piano that tinkled as they pushed. "Muchísimas gracias," the young man said. "De nada, you're welcome," the old man replied. "I never knew a door had so many uses." Together, they placed the door on the old man's shoulders. The young man balanced 2 watermelons on either side. "These are from my garden," he said. The old man hurried along with his gifts and finally arrived at the comadre's house. The barbecue was in the yard. There was music playing, and a donkey piñata hanging from the tree. "I'm here," he announced. The door slid from his shoulders. "Ay Dios," cried his wife. "What are you doing with the door?" "Pues, you told me to bring it," he said, wiping his brow. "It was hard work." "I said to bring el puerco, not la puerta." She wheeled around to her comadre. "He never listens to me. I ask him to bring the pig, and he brings the door." The old man had to laugh. He took the egg from his pocket and said, "But look what else I brought." "Un huevo?" she said with surprise. "Sí, an egg, and some honey, a fish, and these watermelons. And even this," he said, and gave his wife the kiss from the baby. "You brought all this?" His wife blushed. "Sí. Let me tell you how it happened." "Tell us over dinner," the comadre interrupted kindly. They barbecued the fish, boiled the egg, sliced the watermelons, made a table of the door, and placed the honey hat in the center. La puerta, el puerco, there's no difference to el viejo.
That was a pretty funny book. Wouldn't it have been so much easier if you brought a pig instead of carrying a heavy door all around town? It really helps to listen to other people and avoid misunderstandings sometimes. Have you ever done that before? Maybe you did an assignment in school wrong and had to redo it because you didn't listen to the instructions. Or maybe you did an extra chore that was meant for your sibling because you weren't paying attention. I know I have definitely done things like that before. Did you also notice how as he helped people along the way, he got so many things in return? That's because when we help others, it feels good and we're also helping ourselves. Now it's your turn to show off your big smart vocabulary and your funny side. We are going to be coming up with funny sentences and drawing funny pictures that go along with our sentences. We're going to use homophones. Homophones are words that sound the same but are spelled differently and have 2 different meanings. An example I thought of was putting flowers from your yard into a cake mix that is supposed to have baking flour instead. That would be kind of a gross cake if you ask me, but it's pretty funny and it makes a funny picture. I can't wait to see the funny sentences and pictures you come up with. Comment below if you can think of a really funny sentence using homophones. I can't wait to see them. Bye!